Greetings, pen pals. What I have here today is an inexpensive Chinese pen from Hero. This is the Model 856. This is an inexpensive pen, about a $5, maybe $5 and change pen, but it's got a couple of interesting features, and it's a pen that I really, really like, and not a pen that's, I think, is terribly well known in the inexpensive Chinese pen world. You don't see people talking about it very much, but I really like it, and we'll go through what I like about it. It's, as you can see, a very conventional looking black pen. It's fairly conventionally sized. Here it is compared to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan, so you can see it's pretty much size aligned with these guys. It is a light pen, only weighs 16 grams. It's mostly all plastic. You obviously have a metal clip, etc. This pen comes in two variants. This is called the classic version. There's also a bent nib version. The bent nib version has some fairly large Chinese characters and logoing on the pen. This does not have that. This is plain all around. So let's get to the details. There's a double cap band, which looks very nice. A fairly conventionally styled ball style clip that has the Hero branding and logo stamped on it. Shape of the body is a very conventional taper. Starts out fat, tapers down. Doesn't taper to a really fine point, but it does taper down. The finials on the end of the cap and on the end of the barrel have jewels that match each other pretty much, and the style of the finials complement each other fairly well. It is a screw to uncap pen that takes 1.5 turns to unscrew. It does post. It's pretty much long enough to use unposted, but the pen is so light, there's really not a particularly good reason not to post it. It is pretty long, though, when posted. Here's one of the things that you may have trouble with the section. It's got this tiny, tiny little section that is hourglass shape and gets very, very narrow. So depending upon how you like to grip your pen, you may have an issue with the way this section is constructed. These threads here, though, are very, very unobtrusive, and as you can see, there is an ink window where you can see the ink level in the pen, and then it's a very functional large ink window. And I think just the size of this clear piece actually just looks very, very good. I really kind of like the way that looks. In terms of nib, it's a number 6 nib, so if you don't like this nib, there's lots of possibilities for swapping the nib out, which is always nice. It's got the Hero logo, says Hero, and it has a little scrollwork. The nib is unlabeled, but I would call it a fine bordering on medium, and it has a uninspiring plastic feed. Now, in terms of the filling mechanism, that's kind of what one thing I kind of like about this pen. It has a filling mechanism that is a variant on one that I'm not crazy about. If you watch any of my videos, you know that built-in aerometric fillers are some of my least favorite, but this is similar. This is a squeeze bulb filler. So here it has this plastic shroud that sort of protects the squeeze bulb, and then from here on, it's just a bare bulb that you squeeze. But this is very effective. It's not a rubber, it's a silicone sac, not a rubber sac. I have to say this is very effective and fills very, very well. And I have cleaned this pen on several occasions, and the cleaning is not a problem. You can just fill it a few times, etc. And there you go. For those of you thinking that maybe you could just cut off this sac and eyedropper this pen, the way the back of the barrel is constructed, I wouldn't really recommend doing that. This filling mechanism actually works well. I'm actually quite satisfied with it. Surprising, I was all set to dislike it, but it actually is effective and works quite well. So that is the Hero 856 from a parts of the pen perspective. So it's, like I said, it's a pretty nice, inexpensive Chinese pen. Very basic, very classy looking, and I don't, like I said, with the exception of this narrow section, I can't really find too much wrong with it. There's a lot right with it. Like I said, I really like the way this this clear part looks. Plus, I just think this ink window is very, very effective and actually works very, very well, which a lot of ink windows are kind of almost there, I hate to say it, just there for show. They're not really that effective to actually see the ink level. This one actually does work quite well. That is, like I said, that's about it for this pen. But as we all know, pens were meant to write. You might want to know how this pen writes. Well, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you right now. Okay, like I said, this is a Hero model 856, and this has a steel nib in somewhere in the fine to medium range. I mean, this is pretty fine, but you know, a Chinese medium would be, you know, about somewhere in this vicinity. And this writes well, I have to say. So this has some good flow. It is pretty smooth. You know, it has a little bit of feedback, but it's an amount that I'm comfortable with, and I kind of like. It writes well, and it does have a number 6 nib. So you could, if you don't like the nib, you can certainly replace it without any degree of difficulty. But very, very nice writing pen. I find it comfortable to hold. You might not, but here's the thing: if you don't like grabbing it in this section here, you could actually grab it up here. This section is so small that if you were to grab it above the section by the threads, it would actually probably be okay if this narrowness here really bothers you. But it doesn't bother me, but I could definitely see it bothering some people. If you had really fat fingers, I could definitely see it bothering. I could see it bothering you. Hey, before I forget, when it comes to this video and this channel, please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you can do these things, it would be very much appreciated. So anyway, that is the Hero 856, and this is the classic version, as we said. They also make a bent nibbed version of this, but of course there's nothing stopping you from getting a bent nib or a stub nib or any other kind of nib and just swapping the nib in this pen. So a nice pen. You're getting a pretty good amount of pen here for $5, I have to say. It's definitely a good deal. At any rate, that's about all I have to say about this pen for now. But let's take a look at this ink now, shall we? Okay, this ink is Colorverse Dust Storm. And this is really nice because this is gold, and it's for a non-metallic ink, and it's not a metallic ink at all. I think they're doing a really, really good job of just capturing sort of a gold color. They used to make a color that was very popular for kitchen appliances and whatnot. Back in the 70s when I was growing up, and it was called it was specifically called Harvest Gold. Now, that's what this actually reminds me of. I remember our dishwasher and our refrigerator growing up had the panels on the fronts of both of those were this shade called Harvest Gold, and that's what this reminds me of. But this is just a really super nice color. I think it looks really, really great. Just really pretty and different and a little unusual. I don't have another ink that's quite like this. This ink is part of a set, so Colorverse inks come in sets and series. This is called the Red Planet, part of the Red Planet series, and they have a bunch of different inks. So this one comes paired. A lot of Colorverse sets you get a big bottle and a small bottle, to either the same color or two different colors. In this case, it's two different colors. This one, Dust Storm, is the big bottle. here it is. This is a 65 milliliter bottle. And then there's a 15 milliliter bottle of another ink called Vallis Marinaris. Vallis Marinaris. Sounds like a dish in an Italian restaurant, but I don't think that's what it refers to. Anyway, Vallis Marinaris. So this will be done, obviously, in a subsequent episode. So, like I said, it's part of a box set of 2. That's part of this Red Planet series from Colorverse. These pretty nice inks, not cheap. The 2 ink set, I think the street price is just about $30, so it's not cheap, but you are getting 2 bottles, and they're packaged really, really nicely. They come in a fancy box with all sorts of little extra doodads like bookmarks and stickers and cool stuff like that. So it is pretty nice, and this is a pretty color. I really like this color quite a bit. So that is what this ink looks like on this Rhodia paper. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on Tomoe River paper. Okay, like I said, this ink is Colorverse. Dust Storm. And this is on Tomoe River paper. And this looks pretty nice. You definitely get some shading, especially on this Tomoe River paper. So you're getting a bit of shading and color variation. And like I said, it's a pretty color, a somewhat unique color, and I think it evokes gold really, really nice. About as good as you can get in a sort of a non-metallic ink. It just really, really like the way this ink looks. It's a little on the light side, so it's obviously not practical for every application, but it is a pretty color, and I like it. And I've yet to be really disappointed in a Colorverse ink. They keep, every time I think I've kind of exhausted what Colorverse has to offer, they keep coming out with new stuff, and I'm really pleased with it. So I do have quite a bit of Colorverse inks, and as you've seen, if you've watched this this channel much, and we'll definitely be working through the Colorverse collection in subsequent videos. So at any rate, I think that'll just about do it for this video. As always, I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And as always, until we see each other next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.